And so I'm going to talk about our next speaker. And this individual is genuinely an amazing artist. And he has walked the walk. He doesn't just talk about the fact that you can do certain things as an artist or talk about advice. He's actually done all of these things. And he's also someone who you should expect the unexpected from. So take some notes and listen closely to what he's saying. And the reason why I know that you need to be able to expect the unexpected from this artist is because I was at Festival 1, a festival in Hamilton, about 3 years ago, and Brad Dring, our next speaker, he was playing his last set ever with Rapture Ruckus. And it was sad, right? People were crying, there were tears, it was devastating. It was an amazing last set, but everybody went back to their camps feeling pretty down, right? Like he had retired, and then we came back the next day, and we all kind of dragged ourselves to a show by an artist named Magnify. You know, everyone was still a little bit down because Brad had retired. And what happened next shocked us. Brad jumped on stage, started doing a rap in the middle of one of their songs. And the crowd just went nuts. No one was expecting him to come back a day after he retired. And so you don't know what to expect from him. And it's going to be amazing. He's an artist who's been both signed to a major record label, EMI. He's been signed to an independent record label, Parachute Music. And he's gone full independent. So he's seen every single side of this coin. And he's just a genuine superstar. I'm sure a lot of you will have heard of Rapture Ruckus. They've performed shows all over America. They've performed shows in New Zealand. And they've got millions and millions of streams. And so I would like you to welcome Brad Dring.
Hey gang, you guys doing all right? Yeah. Stoked to be here with y'all today, and man, it's been so awesome getting to hear you guys that have got up here and shared some music today. I was really touched and blown away with all your guys' performances, and so thank you so much for sharing your talents and your gifts with us today. Is it cool if I get a little bit of house light so I can see everyone? Shot. Oh, check it out. Got the LED strips up in this joint. So yeah, I'm stoked to be here with you guys today. I've had an amazing opportunity to have had a 20-year career doing music and writing the music that I love and getting to perform all over the world, all the while somehow managing to support myself and my family and my bandmates. And the fact that you guys are here today and you've given up your Saturday tells me that on some level you're serious and passionate about your art and your creativity. The reason I came is that I believe if you are truly passionate about your music, I really believe I can help and add some value to you guys today. And if you can find the drive inside of you the way I did 20 years ago, I really believe there's no limit on how far you can take your art. So is that cool? All right. Now I don't get to talk, and there's a reason for that, because I don't like doing it very often in a setting like this. But the fact that, I heard that there was going to be some young artists here today, I really wanted to come and share with you guys. And you'll see me reading a lot off my laptop here. I'm not on Facebook. It's just, we've got sort of limited time, and I've got some stuff I really want to say, and I just don't want to cock it up. So I'm just going to read a little bit as we go through. All good? So a little bit about my journey, and I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time talking about myself, but I think it's important for y'all to catch the vibe a little bit of where I'm coming from. So I grew up here in Wellington, out in Lowell Bay, one street back from the airport. I'm a little surfer skater boy, and I picked up my first instrument when I was 12 years old, and I began to learn to play the drums. When I got to college, I played in the school big band and the jazz band. I was in a rock quest band, the high school musicals, and I loved just playing along with my favorite band's records. At the end of year 12, I wasn't a very good student, and my school maybe encouraged me that maybe it was time to move on from high school, and maybe there's something else I could do, maybe there was something to music. So I auditioned for the 50-day music program over in Parador, and I was accepted as a drum major, and I went from being the best drummer in my school to the worst drummer at Polytech. And but it was here at this Polytech where I discovered two incredible things. The first was a friend, and the second was a recording studio. My friend Doug and I became obsessed with the simple little recording studio that they had at the school, and before long we were making our own beats and writing lyrics to over top of them. Anytime that studio was empty, we were in there, and it was super gangster. I remember that you showed a photo, Johnny, of the bro with all the egg cartons on the wall. It was one of those joints, egg cartons. I don't know why they do that, but egg cartons all over the walls. There was no Pro Tools or Ableton Live back then. It was just ADAT tape recorders and samplers and sound modules, and I loved it. When we were in there so much, the school just gave us a key to lock up when we were done each night because they got sick of waiting around for us. At this time, my friend Doug and I were also discovering faith for the first time, and we started attending church, and this became a key factor and part of the music we were making and writing. After burning some demos of our CDs that we had made at Polytech, gave them out to a few of our friends, we began to get invited to perform at youth groups, hip-hop summits, open mic nights, things like that. We take our recordings, we mute the main vocal, make a backing track, and we'd turn up to the show, we'd hand it to the sound man with beautiful, fresh, crisp hoodies on, 2 mics, and that was our show. And this was around 2000, and how many of y'all weren't even born in 2000? Oh, that's awful, put your hand down. But around that time, before you were born, the artists that were really blowing up big in New Zealand at the time, this is when Eminem was popping, Dr. Dre, and in New Zealand we had Shay Fu and Scribe both putting out platinum albums. Hip-hop was really blowing up in New Zealand in a big way. It's like every kid was a breakdancer or a beatboxer. Do y'all remember this time? Is there any old people here? Right? And in here in the midst of all of this, there was me and the bro making our songs about the Bible and angels and demons and praise to the Most High. It was like Cypress Hill had a baby with a gospel band. And we really didn't expect anybody to listen or to care about what we were doing. We just loved making music and expressing what was going on in our lives at the time. By the end of that year, we'd written about and recorded about 10 songs that we took to a small indie label here in Wellington, and we signed the worst record deal in history. And they gave us a box of 500 CDs, which I think we ended up just paying for. But we now had our mission and our goal to sell 500 CDs. And at the time it felt daunting and like a lot, but we believed we could do it. And over the next 12 months, we performed every opportunity we got, and we started to get a lot. We'd play down at the basketball court, at a church, at a club, at a house party. We'd perform with rock bands. We'd perform at breakdance battles. We'd sometimes perform twice in one night. And the energy around what we were doing started to grow, and we were starting to find our lane and our audience. Sometimes we'd get paid. Sometimes we'd get given a little bit of gas money. Sometimes we'd be given a pizza. But most of the time we'd get nothing. But before long, we'd sold every one of those 500 CDs. And 500 CDs at $30 a pop is a decent amount of money. And so we started to eat BK and KFC every day. And with the rest of the money, true story, we invested in a MPC 2000, which is the sampler that Dr. J and Kanye West and all them were using at the time. And all the rest of the money we put into printing our own t-shirts and hoodies for our crew and to sell at our shows, which we were getting a lot of. In 2002, we got invited to perform a Saturday night main stage set at the Parachute Music Festival in Totara Springs to around 10,000 people. We'd never played a show to this many people before, and needless to say, we were pretty nervous about how it was going to go. But that night, when we went out on stage, the most amazing thing happened. As we started the show and I looked out over the crowd, I started to see dotted all throughout our people wearing our hoodies and our t-shirts, and I'd see people that were singing along, rapping to the songs, some to every word, to every song. And I remember for the first time I felt this energy come over me that I'd never felt before. And for the first time I felt like I was part of something that mattered and that I had a voice. I was so excited and pumped up that I just ran to the front of the stage and just launched myself into what would be the first of many sketchy stage dives. And it's like it all played out in slow motion, and I was just flying over the media barrier, over the security guards, and then mid-air I had a thought, so I rotated as to not get copped in the nuts, and I caught eyes with my bandmate Doug on stage, and he just gave me this look, I'll never forget, of just, what are you doing, you crazy white boy? But that was it for me. I was gone. And in that moment, I knew what my life was about and what I was going to do. And that day I unlocked something so powerful that it would give me the drive I needed for the next 18 years of my musical journey. I didn't understand it at the time, but that superpower I discovered that day was the ability to visualize where I wanted to go and have the faith and the belief in myself that I could do it. Faith and belief in your desired outcome is the superpower. And if anything good comes from this talk today, I hope you grab that. What I'm going to share with you is exactly what, if I could go back to 19-year-old version of me and drop a sheet of cheat codes in my lap, that's what I want to share with you guys today. I've got four cheat codes for young little 19-year-old Brad, if I could go back. The first we're going to talk about is honing your craft. The second, finding your voice. Third, building your team. And fourth, growing your audience. I don't have some slides or whatever, so what I'm going to need y'all to do is get your phone out and open your notes app. If we got a piece of paper and a pen, I want you guys to write some of this stuff down, because I really believe it can help you in your journey. You guys ready for that? All right. Now, we're only going to talk about things today that we or you have control over and are within your means and your resources to achieve. You know, it's your passion, it's your future, and it's no one else's responsibility, okay? Like the bro said, I've worked with a major record label, I've been on an independent record label, I've been on an imprint record label, and all that stuff has its place and its time, but what we're going to talk about is what we can do with where we're at and what we have available to us. Cool? All right, cheat code 1. Hone your craft. Write that down. Hone your craft. Songwriting, producing, playing, and performing is your craft. And like any craft, with time and focus, it can be mastered. There's a famous saying that it takes 10,000 hours to master something. Now, you probably don't want to hear this, but all of your favorite bands and artists at some time probably sucked. Now, perhaps you're one of these really naturally talented people that can sing in perfect pitch by the time you were 5, play every instrument without practicing, juggle bananas while farting Skittles, and if that is the case, congratulations, I'm so happy for you, you have good genes. But for the rest of us, a little bit of humor there, but for the rest of us, the good news is that humans are amazing, and given time and focus, we can grow and learn just about anything. Now you can find on YouTube videos of a young Jay-Z spitting super corny raps at 14 years old. There's an old recording of Ed Sheeran as a teenager singing one of his songs to his class, and he sounds like a drunk 6-year-old with a snake biting his toe. He sounds awful. So what happened? How could a 14-year-old Jay-Z 10 years later, at 24 years old, put out Reasonable Doubt, one of the most iconic rap albums of all time? How did Ed Sheeran go from singing like a dying goat to filling stadiums all over the world? Let's look at Jay-Z. 14 to 24, that's 10 years. If he worked 3 hours a day honing his skills, that's 10,000 hours mastering his craft. If you keep improving, you keep going, you're going to get better and be successful. The goal is incremental growth every day in perpetuity. That means forever. The only way to get from where you are to where you want to go is practice. And I'm not talking about sitting at your piano for 3 hours a day practicing scales. I'm talking about being an artist and honing your craft. It's about writing 100 bad songs to get to one good one, playing 100 crappy shows and falling off 3 stages to get comfortable in your own skin. It's about being consistent, showing up every day, and moving the needle just a little bit. It's okay to be crap and to write crap songs. That's all part of it. It's okay to play a crap show. Everybody's played a crap show. Apart from that beautiful girl that was just singing. She's never going to play a crap show. You sounded like an angel. Think of where you are now and imagine how good you're going to be if you work at this thing every day for 10 years. Time and patience is the secret ingredient. Keep your goals in front of you and remember that every bad song you write now is an amazing song that 28-year-old version of you is going to write. Be patient, stay positive, and keep going. That was cheat code number 1, hone your craft. Cheat code 2, find your voice. When we're talking about finding your creative voice, it's not just about the sound that comes out of your mouth. What we're talking about are the things that make you, you. What makes you unique from everybody else? It's about embracing all that you are, all the qualities that make you unique, and carving out a lane that only you can claim. When we think of the artists we love, they all have a very unique and different thing that sets them apart. And whenever we hear them on the radio, we instantly know that it's them, whether that's Billie Eilish or Lizzo, Adele or Eminem, Nirvana or Snoop Dogg. As soon as we hear it, we can see it, we know it's them, and it feels genuine, and that's why we connect with it. Like honing your craft takes time. Like honing your craft, finding your voice takes time. You have to try a bunch of stuff to figure out what's you and what's not, what you like and what you don't like, what you're good at, what you're not good at. So I've got a few questions that you can ask yourself to help steer you in the right direction. So I'm going to get you to write these down, all right? What do you enjoy? Write that down. What do I enjoy? You can get your phone up. Brad's class is allowed phones in it. What do you enjoy? I love surfing. I love Tarantino movies. I love hanging with my family. I love traveling and experiencing new cultures. What do you love? Right, next one. What are your unique qualities? Did you grow up somewhere different and interesting? Have you had to overcome a great hardship? Are you funny? Are you awkward? Are you a comic book nerd? Do you have a deep voice? Do you have a tiny voice? What's unique to you? Next one. What are your best skills? Write that down. What are my best skills? Are you an extremely gifted musician? Maybe you can shred on the guitar. Maybe you can rap really fast. Maybe you're a great communicator and speaker. You're really confident that way. Maybe it's visual. Maybe you are a great designer as well as a musician, or an amazing makeup artist. Maybe you're really good at Photoshop or making TikToks. And all right, last one. What gives you purpose? What gives me purpose? Maybe it's a cause that you're passionate about. Maybe it's your family, bringing joy to others. Maybe giving a voice to a minority group. When you look at these lists, where you see things that overlap and connect, that's where you're going to find your voice as an artist. And when you can fully embrace all those qualities that make up your unique identity, you're going to become the most powerful version of yourself. Of course, it's okay to draw inspiration from our favorite artists. That's all part of it. But sometimes the very things we try so hard to change about ourselves are actually the things that make us special and unique, and we need to hold on to. The biggest thing you've got going for you is you. So be you, because everyone else is taken. That was cheat code 2, finding your voice. Write that one down. Cheat code 2, finding your voice. All right, cheat code 3. Build your team. Music, like you've been hearing today a lot, music is about relationships. Whether that's a relationship with your bandmates, relationship with your audience, your producer, other artists. Building and nurturing healthy relationships is a huge factor in how far you can go as an artist. Because if you're going to go far and be successful, you're going to need a lot of help from a lot of people. And let's be honest, music is just a lot more fun when we're sharing it with others. How many of y'all would be consider yourself a solo artist? Just solo artist, yep. How many of y'all are part of a band? Yeah, cool. What about how many of y'all work with artists? You're kind of like you'd consider yourself a support person, like a helper. Yeah, cool. All right. I meant to do that at the start. I was trying to get a vibe for what everybody's up to. Your team will grow and change over time as your career changes and grows. And it's important that we respect and treat all of our relationships like they're our greatest asset, because they really are. The entire music business is built on relationships. And that's because people like to work with people that they like. So be likable, be lovable. If relationships aren't working, then do everything you can to end them well, because it's really important that you don't burn bridges. To give you an idea of my team and how it grew over the years, I started with myself and my best friend, to which we added a DJ, a drummer, a guitar player, a bass player, a sound man, a road manager, a lighting director, a merch manager, a booking agent, a record label, a bus driver, a publicist, a lawyer, and a travel agent. At one point, all working for me. And that's a lot of people doing a lot of things. And in this case, your manager becomes the most crucial person in your team, because they're the person that helps you manage all the nitty-gritties of all those relationships so that you can focus on your music and your creativity. When you're first starting out, your team will probably just consist of you. Maybe your bandmates if you have them, and maybe a mum or a dad. And that's probably where it's going to be for quite a while, or at least until you really start to get some momentum and get busy. But remember, it's your music, it's your vision, and no one's going to care more about it than you. The best thing you can do when you're starting out is to take an interest in what others are doing in the space that you want to be active in your scene. So here's a few things I think you could be doing to help grow your team. Go and see other bands. Follow and engage with other artists on social media that are about the same level as you and doing the same sort of thing. Reach out to them, encourage them, like their posts, share when they got a new album, share their thing, encourage them, tell them you liked it. Reciprocation will happen. Offer to help somebody by selling some t-shirts at their shows. Here's a big one. If you ever get the opportunity to open for a big band, be awesome to their crew. The person that's helping you plug in your guitar, just sow good seeds and good vibes to everybody you meet in that crew. If their stage manager looks tired, rush out and get him a coffee. They're probably going to expect you to be annoying and douchey. And if you can flip that and exceed their expectations, you're going to have friends for life. And it's going to open doors you couldn't imagine. The band may never, and their crew, they may never stay around and watch your show. But if they liked having you around, the doors are going to open. Collaborate with other artists. This is a really, really, really good one. I found it really hard for a very long time to work creatively with people outside of my team, and it wasn't until I moved to America, and I was based in Nashville for 10 years, where I learned the value of the collab. In Nashville, everybody writes with everybody. You'll be at Starbucks and you meet somebody and they're an artist, and the next minute on Tuesday at 10 o'clock you've booked a session and you're in a room trying to write a song together. It's a really, really cool culture to get really, really hone your craft and to meet a lot of people. And sometimes you write crap songs and that's cool. You just park it and go have tacos and talk. It's all part of it. But that 1 out of 100 just could be the one. My biggest song I ever wrote was a meeting just like that with a random person that we got together and we wrote a song together. Went on to be one of my biggest songs. Now this really does just sound like making friends, but what you're doing is starting to create your network. And everyone in your network is your team. All the seeds of good vibes you're sowing and nurturing will bear fruit in the future. My team grew slowly over the years, and people would come and they would go and they would come back again as seasons and things changed. But the real value is the relationships that we've formed out in the world. Festival stage crews, drivers, the receptionists at the record label, bands that we open for, bands that open for us. We once had a young rapper come out with us to open for us on a few shows, and we didn't know him very well, but our drummer he just had a backing track. Our drummer offered to play drums for him for his set, and we invited him to hang out with us on our tour bus before and after the shows and really got to know him. We had no idea. His name was NF, and we had no idea that a year later he would have the biggest song in the world and sell over 1 million records. Everyone you meet is potentially your team. So treat everyone good and show everyone love. You have to give to receive. All right. That was cheat code 3, build your team. Cheat code 4, write this one down, grow your audience. I hope if I'm saying anything that feels like, that resonates with me, just jot it down. You can process it later. All right, cheat code 4, grow your audience. Now this is an exciting one because, man, you guys are living in an exciting time with social media and streaming services and this whole Web3 thing with the blockchain and NFTs. It's a really, really exciting time for you guys, and I reckon in the next 5 years this whole music business thing is going to look completely different. Back when I was starting out, before this guy was born, there was no TikTok, there was no Spotify, there's no MySpace. Oh yeah, good old days. I go to MySpace when I want to be alone now. Justin Timberlake bought it, didn't he? Bad investment. YouTube was still a real pixelated thing where it's like America's Funniest Home Videos. That's what the state of YouTube was at the time. And it was clear to me that the only way we would be heard was to physically go out and get in front of people and blow them away with our music. So that's what we did. We would play every opportunity we got, and once I realized that this was the part that was connecting with people and that we were actually good at it, I got more focused on always upping our game, making the next show better than the last one. We'd add a DJ, we'd get shinier white hoodies, we'd get a guitar player, a band, a PA system. We'd play a festival, then the next festival have to be more spectacular than the last. More pyro, more lights. As a result, we managed to carve out a lane for ourselves here in New Zealand and Australia, outside of the mainstream industry. And though most people had never heard of us, we made sure that the ones that had were all in. By 2009, we'd reached the top of the New Zealand album charts twice and won a New Zealand Music Award, and I had my eyes firmly set on America. Is it cool if I just tell the story for a little bit? All right, okay. That same year, my manager and I flew out to the US with a bunch of copies of a live DVD that we had made to meet with a record label and a booking agent. Ooh, the evil record label. Both were blown away by the DVD and our live performance and agreed they wanted to work with us. But we needed to build a following before they could help us. We would be starting at zero in a new territory with no fans. Again, we had our mission. And though we'd be starting from scratch again in a new country, this time I had my team and I had 10,000 hours of experience behind me. So in February 2010, 9 of us here in New Zealand, including our families, boarded a plane at Auckland and relocated our lives to Nashville. Our first show in the US, we drove 10 hours in the blistering heat to Oklahoma to a show that we weren't getting paid for, and 4 people turned up. That's called starting from scratch. But we gave that show everything we had, and I performed like there was 20,000 people, and by the end of that night, we'd sold 16 CDs, 8 t-shirts, and we'd made our first 4 super fans in America. We even took them out for pizza afterwards. And that's what we did for the next 6 months. Every opportunity we got. 4 people, 6 people, 12 people, sometimes 40 people. In the next 6 months, we'll get invited back to those same towns. 70 people, 80 people, 100 people. 3 months later, 400 people, $800, $1,500. We'd book a festival, we'd get paid $8,000. By 2015, after 5 years of constant touring and putting out music, we'd built momentum in America. We were performing over 100 shows a year, a lot of them in arenas and large venues, getting direct support slots with successful bands we looked up to. We owned our own tour bus that had 12 beds so our families could travel with us. We owned a full sound system, lighting system, a gigantic LED screen, and we were about to release our 5th album. Although we knew that we could sell a lot of CDs at our shows, we'd become good at that, we hadn't really popped at radio in America. And because of this, our record label didn't have any promotional budget for us for the release of our 5th album. But what we did have was a big run of arena shows coming up on a multi-band tour. And we had figured out that if we could pre-sell the album at our shows, so long as we had proof of purchase, an email address, and a physical address for each person to send the CD to on release week, they would count towards our first week's sales in America when the album was released. We had a new goal, so we went to work. Every night we'd play a song off our new album, and at the end of the show we'd ask our fans to go back to our merch table and buy a pre-order of our upcoming album. The goal was to debut on the top 10 on the US Christian and Gospel Billboard chart. By the time it was all said and done, our first week's sales came in, combined with our pre-sales. Our album debuted at #1 on that Billboard chart, and it cracked the top 50 of the overall US album charts. And now, I am one of a very, very small group of people in New Zealand to have a #1 Billboard chart on the wall at the crib at home. And when I get sad sometimes, I go, look at it. And remember, I was once awesome. Look at this, son. What is that, Dad? It's a record. What's a record? Doesn't matter. But serious, I do have it hanging on my wall. Getting out and performing live is what worked for us. And that's what was available to us at the time. We found our lane and we went all in and we ran. You guys are starting out in such an amazing time. You've got a direct link to millions of people right in your pocket. And all you need is to find 100 people that really connect with what you're doing and love your music, and you're going to get a buzz going. I think it's great. How many of you guys are on TikTok? Give me a wave. Making TikToks of your music. Okay, cool. This is good. TikTok is a great place for you guys to start. I sound like a dad now. Y'all heard of TikTok? The TikToking? I'm not on the TikTok, but if I was where you are right now, I'd be on that jam hard. Because TikTok, unlike the Facebook and the Instagram, is based on an interest graph algorithm, not a social graph algorithm, which means that unlike Facebook and Instagram, which it's all about you follow me, I follow you, I'm friends with that person, TikTok is about your interests. Your content is shown to people that have the same interests as you and are interested in what you're putting out. That's how its algorithm works. It's not going to go in front of the people that follow you. It's going to go in front of the people that like what you do. An amazing opportunity to find your audience, which didn't even exist a few years ago. When it comes to growing your audience, figure out what works for you, go all in and run with it. So that was cheat code number 4, grow your audience. So we've talked about honing your craft, finding your voice, building your team, and growing your audience. And I know all this probably seems like a lot, but remember the goal here is small incremental growth every day. Just moving that needle that little bit, and growth will happen. All right, I just want to do a quick exercise with y'all before we finish up. Was that helpful? Was that helpful? Okay, cool. Thank you. I want you all to close your eyes for a minute, all right? Everybody do this. Let's do this quick exercise. What I want you to do is paint a picture in your mind of what success looks like for you and your music. What does it look like for you to be successful with your music? Maybe that's getting to put out an album one day. Maybe it's getting to perform at the Ruckus with your band. Maybe it's playing a sold-out tour. Maybe it's traveling to a country to perform music to some people that don't get to hear live music a whole bunch. Really think about it. Visualize it. Picture yourself in that moment. What does it look like for your music and you to be successful? Maybe it's not having to work a 9-to-5 job. Maybe you're afraid to think about these things because of what's expected of you. You know, I would say to you, it's okay to dream. It's okay to dream. When I was 18 years old, success to me looked like selling 500 CDs. You got it? All right, open your eyes. Did you get a picture? All right, I want you to really remember that picture, okay? We're going to come back to it. If you can believe in that picture, it's going to give you the drive you need to get there. Now, what's a goal that you could achieve in the next 6 months that's going to take you a step closer towards that goal? What's something you could do in the next 6 months? Somebody yell something out. Come on. What's something? Write a song. Book a performance. Do some live streams. One more. Come on. Get more gigs. Cool. How are you going to get more gigs? Yeah, cool. All right. What's an achievable goal? Something that you could do this month, in the next 4 weeks, to move the needle a little bit. Yo. There we go. Liked your idea. What's something you could do in the next 4 weeks? Amen. That's what's up. What else? In the next 4 weeks, what could you do? It's going to move the needle just a little bit. There you go. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Today, what can you do today? Lucky for you, you're at an event all about this stuff. What's something you can do today before you leave here that's going to help you move the needle? Start believing in yourself. Talk to the musicians around you. Jackpot. Focus on what you can control. Don't waste energy on the things that you can't. And above all, have faith and believe in yourself. Remember, faith and belief in your desired outcome is the superpower. And if you're willing to be patient and keep growing, you'll be amazed at how far you can go. The goal that we painted was helpful, and it got me to where I wanted to be. But the journey was the treasure. So enjoy your music and treasure every experience and every relationship it brings into your world. Thank you guys for listening. I look forward to the music this evening and getting to talk to you guys some more.